Welcome to the Baseball Insiders, the number one fan podcast of the Sacramento, Las Vegas Athletics, who are rooted in nowhere. This might be the last time you hear a city name attached to the Athletics franchise for 5 years. But we love them. We love the players on the team, not so much the organization. Thanks for joining me. I am Adam Weinrib, joined as always by FanSided's MLB Insider Robert Murray for your 3:30 show today. We're live every Monday, every Thursday, all through the season and off season. And of course, we'll gather momentum as we approach the trade deadline. But Robert, first of all, how are you? Second of all, we have some light trade rumors from week 1 of the MLB season because the Miami Marlins are already 0-7. So if you thought we were going to get a month off from talking about the trade deadline, you are wrong, my friend. We are already discussing Marlins for sale and Joey Bart to the Pirates for all of those trade rumor heads joining the stream.
I'll tell you, what a start to the season. I did not expect to have trade rumors being a thing this early into the season, but I guess when you're the Marlins, anything is possible. But this week has gone very well. Was at Yankees D-backs, saw a couple games there, got some good insight from that. And yeah, I'll tell you, I kind of want to end up talking about this Marlins situation because this is if you don't mind, because I know our script has it talking about that later on. I kind of want to just dive into that immediately. But first of all, Adam, how are you?
I am good, and I know you're doing well as well. And of course, we can dive into the Marlins right away. And if by right away you mean moments after I talk about DraftKings, what's up, baseball fans? Miami Marlins diehard Sacramento citizens learning about our great game. No, you're already River Cats fans. I know that. DraftKings is offering a fantastic sign-up bonus for new users. New customers can place a $5 first bet on any sport to instantly claim $150 in bonus bets when you sign up with our code Baseball Insider. The best part is you'll receive your rewards even if your first bet loses. Using our code Baseball Insider not only gets you these bonuses, but it also directly supports our podcast. Not just Robert and I's podcast, but it belongs to all of us. If you've been considering signing up for DraftKings, make sure to use the code Baseball Insider to maximize your first bets. This offer is only available to new customers who are 21 plus, physically present, legal gambling states. Please remember to always gamble responsibly. Check the episode description for the full terms of the offer to see if you qualify. I promise you it's in there. I put it in there. And if you aren't in our Discord server yet, we'd welcome you. We got a couple tiers you could join at to become the most informed fan, get to talk to Robert and I between shows. And as always, the Discorders are there in the comment section first. So if you see people chirping in the comment section, it's almost guaranteed that they got that little green hat, not like the one I'm wearing, but like you see on the YouTube channel. And they are, in fact, members of our YouTube channel. We love our members. We welcome questions. We answer them on the show. We'll answer questions from the crowd later if you got them. And, of course, we also have a private members-only All-Star Channel exclusive Zoom that I believe we're going to be doing next Thursday. So stay tuned in the All-Star chat for that. Robert, you're going on a little well-deserved vacation, though, but you will be back, unlike some of the Miami Marlins current players who probably going to have to find new leases to new homes.
Yeah, I'll tell you, that was a very good little segue you just did there. So props to you. That's an 80 grade. I think that's what they call a segue these days.
That's a segue. I'm comfortable. I'm more comfortable doing segues than I am reading DraftKings ads, which is crazy because I've been doing that for a year or two. I should be better at that.
Hey, I'm still proud of you, though. You're doing excellent work. But yeah, this Marlins situation here, what Ken Rosenthal and Dennis Lin reported the other day, I mean, that is true. That the Marlins did have conversations with the Padres about Luis Arias and also Jesus Luzardo. That is no surprise whatsoever. If you've watched this show or if you're in the Discord, I will often tell you that AJ Preller checks in on anything and everything. And I had heard this offseason from pretty much the get-go that the Marlins were prepared to listen on Arias. That didn't necessarily mean a trade was likely or going to happen, but they were not ruling out the possibility. And I will tell you, that a year after trading Pablo Lopez and one of your top prospects to acquire Arias, that would have been a pretty tough pill to swallow. But he's going to end up being a really coveted guy. I mean, there's obviously some holes with his game, but you can't question his bat. His bat is really good. But the top trade chip for the Marlins obviously is Jesus Luzardo. He's controllable. He's young. He is someone who is extremely desirable, and they should, if they do trade Luzardo, get an absolute haul in return. And I can confidently say that the consensus from talking to people around baseball this offseason was that the price for Luzardo was just absurdly high. And it always made a trade difficult to pull off. But like trading him in season when teams are a little bit more desperate and can end up giving up a sizable haul, I think that can't necessarily be ruled out. But the Marlins, obviously, with how slow they've started, and obviously not having Sandy Alcantara and now Yuri Perez for the entire year, that and also they also didn't even do much in the offseason at all. Like there was one guy here in the comments section, and there was also another person in the Discord who continually asked for Marlins rumors and updates, and it's like, I've got nothing for you. And it was quiet. They've obviously traded John Birdie already, and I would not necessarily rule out any trades going forward. I don't think anything is imminent by any means, but they're in a position now where selling early and getting top value is and should be in play.
Yeah, there's no reason why you can't instill the same level of competition now that you could at the deadline. Your assets are still strong. People are going to want Luis Arraez for almost a full season, rather than August and September. So why not up the bidding? Yuri Perez is an obvious, baseball travesty. Another young pitcher goes down after they try to go through all of these hoops to keep him baby, to keep his right arm, keep as many miles off it as they possibly could. And they still ended up in this spot. Alcantara already having Tommy John. When I talk about the curse of Kim Ng, that is not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about players going down with injuries. I'm just talking about the organization as a whole reaping what they sowed. And they're still winless for good reason. Undermining Kim Ng was the weird move of the offseason, asking her to take what amounted to a demotion against her will. If she had a desire for a president of baseball ops to help supplement the operation, that's one thing. But elevating her to that role and hiring a GM under her would have felt more respectful after she took this franchise that never has 2 good years in a row in franchise history, because every time they have one, they sell off the whole roster. She took them sustainably, and the luck in 1-run games and the run differential, that wasn't sustainable. But the players they had in their core certainly felt like they weren't bringing in Gary Sheffield. They were bringing in pieces that worked together instead of superstars. And if they wanted to supplement that this offseason, they could have continued to ascend. Instead, they oust her. She rightfully walks. She doesn't really interview. Thumbs up. Yeah, I don't know why that keeps happening. She doesn't really interview for anybody else's GM job. She's just receding now, and I would be too if I had done what she did, borderline, if not victorious executive of the year stuff last year. And instead, she's gone, and Peter Bendix comes in and raises it up. Chaim blooms it up in Miami, staying very responsible. Not getting those, don't want to dabble in the top prospect waters, but sure, we'll trade John Birdie right before the season starts. A very smart executive, someone who's got a long-term vision, but no respect for this organization's success last year. And already we're seeing a winless team in a vibeless ballpark.
Yeah, I think that's all very fair to say. But for me, it's a case of I feel bad for Kim Ng because she ended up she got that team into the postseason last year. Her and Skip Schumacher look like the long-term faces of the franchise in terms of a leadership standpoint. And all of a sudden she's not retained and she's ousted because they wanted to put a president of baseball operations over the top of her. And then they ended up hiring Peter Bendix, and their organizational priority this offseason was to fix what they had in the front office and get that in a better position long-term going forward, and really did not put an emphasis on improving the major league roster, which after the season they had last year, they had every right to do it. And Peter Bendix was hired for this job. He's a highly respected executive. He did great work in Tampa. And I remember talking to Eric Neander and some other people with the Rays this offseason after the move was made official. And they thought he was going to end up being a guy who could really do some good things in Miami based on his track record and just how he is working inside an organization and collaborating with people. But to me, this falls squarely on ownership, and this is a gigantic ownership failure for the Marlins. They're probably, it seems like all the evidence suggests that they're not putting they're not putting more resources into the team. They are not allowing their front office to spend. They obviously, like, one of their biggest contracts was Avi Garcia, and that looks like an absolute failure of a deal. And like, we've already seen him comment about him getting booed and how much he doesn't like getting booed. They had such a good thing in the making there. They got too cute, and now the ownership here for the Marlins should absolutely be under fire. They should be scrutinized because they were on the verge of building something really strong, and they fumbled it, and now they're winless. They have no vibe. It is just really disappointing, and we're going to end up seeing the consequences for it now, and where they're probably going to end up trading some of these guys off their roster and their most talented players. And just when you think the Marlins are going to be good again, their owner, Bruce Sherman, goes, not so fast, because, God, they look like an absolute freaking mess.
I say no. Yeah, I think we're going to see AJ Puck somewhere mid-season too, and I think that's exciting. But
yeah, he looks
Miami,
good.
He looks great. I mean, what we always heard about the way this Marlins roster was built was they overloaded on the pitching side so much that they could withstand injuries as long as they held on to everybody. And Sandy Alcantara's a Cy Young. Yuri Perez might be the best of all of these pitching prospects. But still, pitching prospects break. It's extremely sad whenever it happens. But if any team was equipped to withstand that, it's these Marlins. But they didn't supplement offensively. They ran their leader out of town, and now, again, winless is a pretty bleak place to be. So we're already on Marlins Padres trade rumor watch. We're going to be watching the Marlins all first half. You never know when they might strike.
Oh, absolutely. And also, I'm seeing here in the comments asking what the offer was for Arise or what the offer was for Luzardo. I can't remember what Rosenthal reported, but oftentimes what is offered in these deals is not reported, because the last thing that these teams want is who they offered leaking in deals and having these guys find out, like, on Twitter or in an article that, oh shit, like, these teams are offering me up in trades. Like, it might not value it here. And that shatters a player's confidence and just leads to lack of trust. So that's the reason why we don't see these offers reported, is maybe sometimes reporters do find these out. Like, there's been certain times where I found out offers and people are like, how the hell did you find that out? And then they ask, like, hey, please do not report this because this could really affect some people. And that's part of the human aspect of baseball, is just they don't want these things out because that can do a lot more harm than good, let me tell you.
I love when we're able to give the people in the comments what they want too. We had somebody ask, why don't you acknowledge how poor of an owner Bruce Sherman is at 3:44 and 13 milliseconds. And then at 3:44 and 24 milliseconds, he said, thank you, laugh my ass off. So we did it. We were middle fingering Bruce Sherman as you were typing, and happy to give the people what they want. But unfortunately, Marlins fans are not getting much else of what they want these days. And I feel bad. I love that stadium. I love getting a cafecito in the left center field coffee plateau, whatever that area is, where there's just good Cuban coffee tucked in that corner. That's a good ballpark. It's a great city. I mean, Miami Heat season is fully upon us. They look great. They're going to the playoffs strong, but Marlins fans deserve better. And speaking of an area where the fans have been getting better, I'm going to give credit to the Arizona Diamondbacks and that organization for shaking off the potential sophomore slump, collective sophomore slump. When you have a young team unexpectedly go to the World Series last year, it's very easy to regress. They go out and get Eduardo Rodriguez, who's injured. They go out and get Jordan Montgomery, who's coming soon. And the 2023 D-backs surged into the public eye this series against the New York Yankees. They looked every bit the part of that team that walked into the World Series last year. The Yankees looked extremely strong vibe-wise as well. I wanted to focus on this series only briefly because I know you were at Game 1. You left our show last Monday to head to that game. So these are two of the teams that I think a lot of people across baseball are talking about, the changes in the Yankees clubhouse and the Diamondbacks spending and putting their foot on the gas pedal after a surprising early arrival to the contention picture. Was wondering if you had any observations from attending this series in person, able to pick up on anything, because these are two teams going in the right direction right now.
Yeah, and but before I dive into this, Drew, I see your comments. There are no new rumors about the Padres. We just got done talking about how I said the Padres' interest in Luzardo and Arise was real from those reports, but nothing is close. I have no new rumors for you. And hi, Drew. So I did address you. So there we go.
Please do not unsubscribe. It'd be very sad.
Yeah, that would be devastating. I would lose sleep over that. Although I do know Jacob is not losing sleep because he always sleeps. But anyways, so going back to this Yankees and D-back series to get back on track here. This was my first time ever seeing the Yankees. I have never been in their clubhouse before. I have never just seen a Yankees game before. So this was a new experience for me. And I can tell you they have a different vibe about them. They have I've been around some different teams, and they obviously it feels like a major league team, feels like a quality team, but I'm talking about these other teams, but the Yankees right now feel like a team that has the swagger, has the confidence, the cockiness, and they back it up on the field. They are looking really, really good. Obviously their lineup is strong. They got Gleyber Torres leading it off, and then they also got Soto, Judge, Anthony Rizzo, Giancarlo Stanton, Anthony Volpe. They got a lot of these different players who are just really, really good, and they just have the feel to me of a team that if it all stays together, they actually do have the feel of a team that can end up making a deep postseason run. If you watch the show where we did our predictions, I said that it wouldn't surprise me if the Yankees still miss the postseason, which I mean, who knows? It's weird how things happen in a baseball season, but from a start here in the feel around that team it's just they're a team on a mission right now. And I can tell you, one of the highlights of that to me was seeing how much Soto and Judge are around each other. I watched them walk into the clubhouse together. They ended up splitting up to go to their lockers, which were on opposite sides of the clubhouse. They immediately reconvened, walked into the trainer's room, and then walked onto the field together. And it's those two seem like they're pretty tight. They formed a pretty good relationship early on, but let me tell you, the fact that they're having this kind of a start without Garrett Cole and all those questions in the rotation speaks pretty well to their long-term outlook here this season. So I know this is me hyping up Adam's team. I promise this is not – he did not pay me to do this. But the Yankees and Josh Wilson, who is a fellow FanSided and also a fellow Yankees fan with Adam here, I think he might be in for a pretty good season here.
Well, my team is the A's. I love the Sacramento A's, so I don't know what you're talking about. But also rude of the Diamondbacks to split up Judge and Soto's lockers. Clearly an intentional move to try to divorce them mid-series. Didn't work. They managed to keep things together. I paid Robert no money to say that, but it's good to hear because, again, I think a lot of Yankee fans feel that this team is extremely talented, held together by sticks, glue, and gum, and that if things do work out, this first week could have been hideous. They go to Houston, they go to Arizona. They could be 1-6 or 0, they could be Marlinsing right now, and instead they're somehow 6-1 coming home. But don't worry, I just wanted to touch on it because I knew Robert was there, and I wanted some observations from the ground. We want to keep you guys as the most informed fans. We're going to go to the rest of baseball now. No more lingering time on the Yankees. I just wanted to get some
actually, there is going to be one lingering point here about the Yankees.
No, look who's lingering on the Yankees. Not me. Certainly not me.
That's the upset of the century here. But I will. So one of the when I came up in baseball, and my first job covering a team consistently was the Milwaukee Brewers. And I got to see Trent Grisham make his debut. I obviously saw some highs and lows from him when he was in Milwaukee. And I saw him yesterday for the first time in a few years. Let me tell you, that guy has put on some serious muscle since the last time I saw him. He is absolutely yoked. Great dude, by the way. I'm a huge Trent Grisham fan as a person. I caught up with him briefly while we were together in the locker room there. And, but yeah, he is, he's put on some serious muscle. So props to him. I don't know what his workout routine is, but yeah, he's done good.
Yeah, Good for Trent, who could be an integral piece of this team, especially if they need to get Aaron Judge off his feet a little bit more. I believe the power is there too. Let's see. But I'll be nice to everybody. We'll toss it to a couple of other storylines dominating the chatter right now. We've done Padres, Marlins. Now we're going to do Pirates because the Pittsburgh Pirates go and get Joey Bart, which I think is a move where you go. I'm not sure I've seen a number 2 overall pick fall quite this flat in recent years. And this is one who made the majors too. Sometimes you see these really hyped prospects like Donovan Tate in San Diego is one I'll always remember, where I'm like, what on earth? Where did that guy go? Joey Bart does make the bigs, gets lapped on the Giants depth chart by Patrick Bailey, though, and just never sticks, gets a couple of chances. And all of a sudden, the former number 2 overall pick goes to Pittsburgh. And this is a trade that you had as well. So without the pressure of being Buster Posey's replacement, what is the next year like for Joey Bart, who is now working alongside another top pick in Henry Davis in Pittsburgh, where they're just kind of collecting these former top guys?
Yeah, so some background on how this all ended up happening, because there's a running joke in the Discord that I get every scoop while I'm working out or at the gym. I was not at the gym for this one. I was literally on a hike. I was listening to music. I was disconnecting from the world, just like soaking up a good sunset for on a hike there. And all of a sudden in my AirPods, I get a new text saying Pirates trade. And then all of a sudden I do some digging, and then I find out Joey Bart to the Pirates, and I tweet it. And all of a sudden, literally, like all in my AirPods, as I'm trying to listen to music and disconnect, my phone just goes absolutely berserk. I don't mind this deal for the Pirates. Like this is a lottery ticket. Basically costs you nothing, and if it works out, that's freaking awesome. If it doesn't work out, then you can just move on. And I mean, you gave up a flyer or a prospect in Austin Strickland, he's got talent for sure. Clearly the Giants liked him because they didn't want to just outright release Bart. They were hoping that keeping him onto the opening day roster was going to allow them to facilitate a trade, and getting Strickland in return, they're happy with that. But they also recognize that this was a failure. And there's a lot of different things you can point to with this. And did they have him up in the majors too soon? How much did the injury in the Arizona Fall League cost him in 2019 when he ended up fracturing his finger? Could they have done something different organizationally? Obviously, like they drafted Bart, then a year later they drafted Patrick Bailey. Obviously, different regimes, and Bailey was Farhan's guy, but it just didn't work out. And when he got to the majors, like he was obviously termed as Buster Posey's replacement, and it just never ended up working out. And offensively, he looked lost. I'm so curious how that would have ended up working out had he stayed healthy in the AFL. That could have ended up changing. That could have changed a lot for him. But it didn't work out. The Giants got to a point where it didn't make sense for them to keep him on the roster, so they DFA'd him and then traded him to Pittsburgh. Now he's got a prime opportunity in Pittsburgh. Although that being said, they obviously have Henry Davis, the old number 1 overall pick there. And they also signed Yasmani Grandal in the offseason. He's currently battling an injury. He's working to get his way back. I don't expect that to be a long-term thing by any means. But it's his next shot. If it doesn't work out, I'm assuming there will be another team that takes a chance on him, because there's not many times you can have an opportunity to land a former number 2 overall pick for cheap. But this is a pretty crucial and critical opportunity for him, and Giants just got to a point where they had to move on.
Yeah, and that baseball reference page is very underwhelming for now, but another chance as a backup. Pressure's off a little bit, though. It's not like you're not going into the fire. Pittsburgh is winning baseball games right now, and the expectations are high. Wanted to revisit, you mentioned our predictions as well. We were both a little bit down or skittish on the Yankees. We know the AL West is going to be as tight as it can possibly be, which is the only reason I would even posit that it might have been decided this week with Josh Jung's injury. He's going to miss 8 to 10 weeks now after a freak accident, fracture that wrist late in a game that was borderline garbage time against the Rays. The Astros are now obviously in an early hole as well, so it's not like they're neck and neck and it's a chance for the Astros to create real distance. And the Rangers do have Wyatt Langford in addition to a full season of Evan Carter, though neither player has necessarily had the start in the first week that they were looking for. But the Rangers' depth is about to be tested. We know that these are two elite offenses in theory, and the Astros probably have the better pitching, even without Verlander and McCullers. But they did start 0-4 and are now 2-5 after no hitting and one hitting the Toronto Blue Jays. Shout out to the Blue Jays for taking advantage of the Astros while they were down. Oh, no, you got no hit by Ronel Blanco. Never mind. But the AL West somewhat up for grabs, and the Rangers have already lost, 2+ months of a Rookie of the Year contender from last year. So you can't help but wonder if this is going to tip the scales in the Astros direction a little bit. Although, again, weird start to the season for them as well.
Yeah, just a bizarre start to the season for both these teams. And losing Jung like that is obviously a big blow. And we're on record with saying this since I can't remember. We've been saying this for a little while here, and just how crucial this start of the regular season is for the Rangers, especially being without Scherzer and DeGrom for the first half of the year. And now you're going to be without Jung here. It's like, this hurts. It hurts bad. And it makes you it puts so much other pressure on the rest of the roster to perform, especially obviously going into the season. The pitching staff was under fire, but now they ended up needing their other players on offense, especially Wyatt Langford, to step up. By the way, the play of him where he was on first base and then tried to score, can't remember what was it? Was it like a grounder or something?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, where he tried. I freaking love the effort. I mean, obviously it didn't work out, but I respect it. They got a lot of young players on that team that I like. Obviously, Adolis Garcia and his muscle mass. They're going to need all those guys to step up. But between that and then you look at the Astros, they have coming into the season, I thought their bullpen was going to be really just dominant, and it's been doo-doo so far. It's been a hot mess, and both these teams currently flawed. They're fighting through it right now. But I'll tell you, it's going to be, if the Astros, if they want to win this division, have to build a lead before the All-Star game. Because if it's going into the All-Star break where both of these teams are tied, I think the Rangers win this by 5+ games. I'm calling that right now. So this is a critical moment for the Astros. They need to get their stuff together, because if they don't, that Rangers team, once they get DeGrom and Scherzer back, along with the other pieces that are missing, that is a very formidable and dangerous opponent. So pressure is currently on the Houston Astros, and the Rangers just need to weather the storm.
I agree, and I do think that the title run in that postseason series did give them a little bit of the juice to know that they can overcome Houston if they are close, tightly packed down the stretch. It doesn't feel inevitable anymore that Houston is going to take that division. The Rangers know that they can dole out punches too. Before we go, I'm going to give credit to the Boston Red Sox. Everybody's saying this is a Yankees podcast. You are wrong. It was a Yankees middle segment. I even tried to steer Robert away from the Yankees, and he was like, no, I beg of you. I want to say more stuff about the Yankees. And I was like, okay, fine. But Justin Ryan in the comments, thoughts on the Red Sox having the best year after trading Sale, signing Giolito, and losing him already. They're going with what they got. They're going with what Andrew Bailey's got. And caveat that they did face the Oakland A's for 3 games. But guess what? Major league team and 1-0 shutouts are still impressive. So I think the Red Sox were very impressive against the Mariners. I don't think, having every starter go 5 innings isn't a guarantee that the Red Sox are going to parlay this into a playoff berth, but it's a big step up from last year, and it's the same guys. So some semblance of a starting rotation already starting to come together for Boston. I don't think the need is as desperate as the haters would have had you think this offseason. The offense has looked like more of a problem than the pitching staff so far. And all those Red Sox fans who threatened to boycott because they said ownership didn't love them or care about the team or whatever, you guys are going to come back. You guys are going to come back pretty soon, I think.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. We always hear those threats, and they'll be there. They're not going to stop just cheering for their team because they didn't invest $10 million or whatever into the pitching staff. Yeah. But obviously, I'm glad you put the note in there that obviously they played the A's already. So that does lead to their rotation or their pitching ERA being as good as it is. But that being said, this is the power of Andrew Bailey. Andrew Bailey is one of, if not the best pitching coaches in baseball. And the fact that he's getting this kind of performance out of this group, considering the current state of it, and also not having Lucas Giolito for the rest of the year is extremely impressive. I also wonder what Giolito would have done in a full season with Andrew Bailey, and how much more consistent, just what he could have ended up unlocking out of him. Obviously, we're not going to see that since he's hurt, but yeah, it's so far a really good start for the Red Sox as a pitching standpoint. The offense does have some questions, as you said, but I'll reiterate what I said before on the previous podcast. If everything goes well for this Red Sox rotation and their pitching staff as a whole, Andrew Bailey is going to be a managerial candidate. He will interview some for some jobs. So far, so good. But obviously, we're only not even 10 games into the season, so a lot of ball games left to be played.
Yeah, I'm not taking Red Sox ownership off the hook, because obviously if the team is competent, then there were avenues to spend money this offseason, and they should have spent it to turn this from a borderline playoff team into a stronger playoff team. But that said, good start for the Sox, and the players they needed to see good things from, they are already seeing them, and they're going to get Kyle Teal and Marcelo Meyer and Roman Anthony up next year. So that's their plan. Their plan is, if they're good this year, great. And if they're bad this year, okay, collect another draft pick, as the guys are coming next year. But so far, not quite so bad. So kudos to Andrew Bailey and Jason Parker with a good shout that Alex Cora technically is up at the end of the year. So maybe there's just some continuity there. Andrew Bailey sticks around and is the manager. Either way, Red Sox more fun to follow than their fans on Twitter would have had you believe, which is sort of an AL East theme. Yankee fans, too, spent all offseason yelling about Blake Snell. Haven't heard the name Blake Snell mentioned this week much by Yankee fans. Weird. when you're 6-1, people don't beg your managing general partner to spend $33 million on an ace on March 18th. They do need more pitching, but again, Twitter's an interesting place, and that's just, it's a little quieter now than it was last week for Boston, for New York, and Orioles fans are loud for whatever reason. Only starting 4-2. So that's baseball.
Speaking of the Orioles, by the way, how about their AAA team doing what they did the other day? Oh, my goodness gracious. Okay, so let me ask this. How many rosters, or like the Orioles' AAA team, how many rosters better, or is that better than how many major league rosters, do you think?
I mean, Oakland.
It's a tough question, I know, but I'm curious.
I think that's the pitching side of things. They're a little deficient, but it's not like there's this funny thing where sometimes you look at blowouts in the minors and you're like, ooh, who did that? And you check and it's like guys you're kind of familiar with, like quad A guys. And you're like, oh yeah, okay. So some major league veterans went down there and just like pummeled. That Norfolk Tides lineup, it's like Norby, Kjerstad, Basalo, like everybody who just got Jackson Holiday, everybody who just got squeezed off the Orioles because they have too many good players is in that lineup doing damage, and 26 runs is nothing to be. Heston Kjerstad knocked in 10 runs yesterday.
That's crazy.
Kyle Stowers hit 3 home runs. Like, he didn't make the big league club, goes out there and just lays waste to minor league pitching. So I feel bad for the Charlotte Knights, but it shouldn't really come as a surprise that that's the White Sox AAA team, because I think the big league Orioles could do that to the big league White Sox too. I think Norfolk could give the big league White Sox a game. Might be a little tighter, but I think they could play them hard.
I'm thinking you might be right, which is crazy. But man, that Orioles team is freaking stacked. They got an embarrassment of riches. They can still, like, obviously they ended up trading some of their top guys, Joey Ortiz and DJ Hall, for Corbin Burns. But if they wanted to, they could still move some of those other prospects and upgrade the major league team and get another starting pitcher in there, no problem. So if they wanted to, they could, but they've been pretty adamant about like not just trading those guys just to trade them. But man, that's a freaking stacked team, man. Holy cow. Or DL Hall. That's right. Not DJ Hall. My mistake. I'm not used to the DL. I'm used to the IL now. So maybe I was trying to get that out of my head.
He should change it to IL Hall. Joey Ortiz looks good too so far, but yeah, the O's embarrassment of riches doesn't even begin to cover it. I think if you're a little frustrated about the offense not showing up against the Royals, stay patient. I think you can stay patient here. Baltimore, you're going to have a pretty good team this year, and well beyond. Well, shout out Robert Murray. We did it again. Another episode of the Baseball Insiders in the books as the regular baseball season begins to chug on, and we're in non-trade rumor territory unless you happen to be the Miami Marlins and Bruce Sherman, who, again, we already double flipped off earlier and will continue to do so in future episodes. We're going to be taking Monday off, but we will be back here Thursday, I believe, with an all-new show. Is that right?
That would be correct. Your sources are, as always, they're spot on.
And my sources, last time somebody said, my sources say your show's going to be starting a couple minutes late. And I was like, hey, no, it's not. I haven't heard that. And then guess what? It did. Today it started a little bit late again. That's my bad.
But that was
Thursday,
Drew. I'll give him credit. Yeah.
Yeah. Drew was first on that. And so I think, it's a safe bet that Thursday show might start a little bit late, but not too late. We'll be here. Shout out to everybody who joined us today. Again, thanks for rocking with us all off season long and into the regular season. We will be right back here Thursday. Robert Murray, thanks so much, dude.
Yeah, I appreciate you, man. We'll see everyone Thursday. Adam Weinrib, good show today. Appreciate you.
Good show today. Let's keep it rolling into the weekend series. Let's have some fun. Major League Baseball. It's good. The reviews are in. Major League Baseball is good.
Yeah, baseball is good, not bad. So you heard it here first in the Baseball Insiders. Yeah.
Still rocks. Good sport. All right. We'll be right back here on Thursday. Stick with us till then. Take care, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.